Great. Thanks very much, Ms. Dupuy. Good evening, grade 8 families. As Ms. Dupuy said, my name is Margaret Conley, and I am the proud principal of LCVI and Calvin Park Public School. And it's my pleasure to welcome you to this live event. Before we begin this evening, I would like to acknowledge our territory. The Limestone District School Board is situated on the traditional territories of the Anishinaabe and the Haudenosaunee. We acknowledge their enduring presence on this land, as well as the presence of Métis, Inuit, and other First Nations from across Turtle Island. We honor their cultures and celebrate their commitment to this land. This evening, you will learn more about our outstanding school and the many opportunities that await. Like you, I also have a child who is currently in grade 8, and so as a principal and a parent, I feel a sense of anticipation that you may also be feeling for your student as they are now in the home stretch of elementary school and will soon be starting high school. What an exciting time. I want to start out just by sharing a little bit about our school. Within our building, we have over 1,000 students between LCVI and Calvin Park. This is the first year of the integration of our two schools, and we are excited about the opportunities for our students as we build a 7 to 12 collaborative learning community. If you ask our students what they are most proud of, many will say our diversity, our sense of community, our caring staff who help them reach their goals, and the amazing school spirit we have here at LC. Our community has celebrated almost 60 years of excellence in the arts, athletics, academics, and technology. LCVI is a composite school, and that just means that we have a wide variety of programs and course offerings. And so we have many tech programs, courses, we have school to community, we have co-op, advanced placement, academic arts enrichment program, specialist high skills major programs, the most of any school on the board, by the way, including Cook's internship, creative arts, Academy of Hair, Studio LC, and construction. And these are top-notch programs. We have a large international student population, ESL courses, a strong music and arts program, and much more. There is something for everyone, and you will hear more about these programs from Ms. Dupuy. One of our strengths is the strong sense of community we have and how well our staff know our students and how best to support them. Our 3-day grade 9 orientation program that runs the last week of August, which is unique to LC, really helps to promote a smooth transition to high school. Our amazing teaching staff, support staff, administration team, and our community partners are all part of the team to help support your child's success at LCVI. We can't wait to welcome your student to grade 9. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, and please don't hesitate to contact us at the school at any time if you have questions. I do want to thank Ms. Dupuy for putting together this evening, and Ms. Moore and Ms. Hamilton for their contributions as well. And at this time, I would like to introduce Mr. Sush James, who is the grade 9 vice principal. Over to you, Mr. James.
Thanks, Ms. Connolly. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me here, and it's really nice to be here with you. I mean, not much different from you folks. I'm new, and so I've only been here for a semester, so I don't have a whole pile to contribute right now, except to just maybe give you a quick sort of snippet of my experience so far in the last couple of months. And this is related a little bit, but I grew up in Sydenham, and I went to Queens, and then my first 20 years of teaching was at Frontenac Secondary School. And you hear a lot about the diversity of LC and so on and so forth. And so I knew I was going into a neat place, but it really is difficult to kind of convey to you how unique it is. I mean, for me, for my own background and so on, it has been a really interesting experience. I really haven't been around a ton of people like me, or shared my background or my culture and so on. And so I'm still kind of processing all that, but also just kind of being around students and families that I'm learning so much from. And it is very difficult to describe what that is how that feels. But I certainly am enjoying every second of it. And as I said to you, I've never really experienced that before. And I'm thankful for the folks I work with and the students and families I'm working with every day. But just maybe a quick snippet as to, maybe sort of figuring out or explaining how it kind of plays out in the everyday. Um, Miss Myers and Miss Conley and I, we have the luxury a little bit to, pop into classes and talk to students, talk to teachers, and just kind of take in some of the lessons and the learning. And what I can tell you from my own upbringing and from my previous 20 some years of experience at other schools, and kind of just give you a little bit of a feel for how the diversity of our student body plays out in the classroom, is that I've witnessed a lot of conversations about novels, about different political conversations, all sorts of things in all sorts of classes. And the thing that I've noticed in LC is that um, the depth of the conversation and the range of the perspectives and the cultural backgrounds and religion, in terms of religion, race, and those types of things that add to the same types of conversations is a different beast. And one of the things I walk away with, being very fortunate for myself, very selfishly, but also fortunate for our students and staff, is that, boy, I tell you, we are a spot that, regardless of what workforce or profession um, that our students choose to go into our sector, uh, we feel pretty confident that we're releasing them to a Canadian society, because and really well prepared, because our school reflects Canadian society now. And it is a unique thing in Eastern Ontario, and I'm still learning to process it all and all the great things about it. But I just wanted to share that with you. That's about all I can contribute to tonight. But I'm really glad that to see everybody here, and talking about those types of things are something that I really enjoy. And please do feel free to reach out anytime if you have questions about that sort of thing after tonight. So I will pass it now over back to Ms. Dupuis. Thank you.
Hi. Okay, so I'm Karina Dupuis. I'm the head of guidance at LCVI. I am so thrilled with how many of you have decided to come online with me tonight in my dining room. So I can talk to you a little bit. Oh, sorry, if I can talk to you a little bit about, I'm having a little bit of feedback. So just, if anyone has their mic on, if they could turn that off, that'd be great for me. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. So we're definitely going to get to de-streaming. We're going to get to that a little bit later in the evening. But I am going to share my screen with you and just take you through a bit of a presentation, and then I'll show you kind of where you can get more information and how to reach us. Normally by this time I would have been up to our grade 8 classes up at Calvin. This year, of course, has been strange and different. Either we've been at home or not being able to kind of mix. And also, I've been waiting until the grade 8 students have access to us in their course selection program, which I think they do now. So that means that I'll be coming through to grade 8 classes. I'll make those appointments very soon to go through this information with them in class too. So for more detail, and if they've got specific questions for me, it's totally not a problem. So I'm just going to quickly share my screen with you. So if you are new to having a student joining high school, it's terrifying, but your student is our class of 2026. So they're going to be graduating in 2026 and becoming a part of society. So we're going to talk just a little bit about everything. So just touch on kind of some topics. Again, if you have questions, don't hesitate to post them up in the chat and we'll get to them as soon as we can. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about the building, which you already heard from our 3 administrators. And a note about our 3 administrators is I've worked in a lot of schools in the board. I actually started in 2005 at LCVI. There's not a more visible administration, so you see them. So if you're a student at LC or Calvin, you have seen our vice principals and our principals because they're there. They're in the hallways, they're in the classrooms, they're a part of our school. So that's really nice to have them. We'll talk a little bit about what the school is going to look like. We're going to talk about kind of what the high school routine is going to be when you start at high school. We're going to look at what a typical daily schedule might be. We're going to talk about your requirements for graduation. We're going to talk about what the course codes are going to look like and how to decode that stuff. Then we will touch on D-streamed grade 9 when Miss Hamilton is kind of going to talk to you for a few minutes about how that went this year. And then we're going to go into how to select your courses for next year. It's really not a difficult process, but I'll take you through it. So I think some basic statistics about our school. We're approximately 650 students and growing at LCVI. So not including our 7/8s upstairs, we're about 650. That means we're about 75 staff members, and that's everything from our custodians, our EAs, our office staff, myself in guidance, our teachers, and our administrators. So there's about 75 of us. We're also, what this means being a school of 650 is kind of two things. Is we're big enough that we're able to offer an incredible amount of programming and diverse programming at the school. But we're not so big that students are kind of lost in a sea of other students. It is a very personal place. It is a place where we all know each other. It is a place where people feel heard and seen. So students don't tend to feel lost. We also have the bonus of having Calvin upstairs. So many of our students in grade 9, they already know the building. They've used the gym, they've used the library, they've used the office. So they kind of know their main way around. LCVI is different. So as I said, I have had the opportunity to work at quite a few schools in the board. What LCVI does offer is, I would say, hands down, the most diverse experience in the board in Kingston, and that's for a few different reasons. Like every other school, we do offer programming in a variety of different types. So we've got academic and applied. Once you get to grade 10, there's some choices you can make there. By grade 11, you've got your university and your college and your workplace courses. We also have school to community programming. So we have 4 school to community classes right now in our school. We have our Choices at 9 program. So we offer 2 enrichment programs, which we're going through the application and acceptance process right now. So we have AP Prep and we have our Academic Arts Enrichment program. And then for 11s and 12s, anyone is allowed to take our Advanced Placement courses. If you're heading towards university, these courses are similar to what would be at a first-year university level, and you can actually, if you take a test and do well, you can actually earn university credit for that course. So that's a pretty unique opportunity in our school. But we also have a great tech department kind of at the back end of the school. We have a full hair salon back there in aesthetics. We have welding, we have construction, we're going to have masonry as well. We have also comm tech, which is like graphic design. We have some computer engineering courses, some tech design courses, so lots of courses in that end. COVID has kind of been really hard on our art department, especially when it comes to music. So music, dance, singing, because it's been prohibited for a lot of parts. So we're hoping that next year that comes back because we have a really strong band program, jazz band. We have choir classes. Luckily, our music teachers during COVID, because the only instrument that was really allowed that we had access to was guitar, they amped up their guitar programming. So we were able to still kind of offer a lot of music. But hopefully next year we get our band programming back and whatnot. We also have an amazing kitchen. We have culinary arts programs in a few different ways. Students can actually take a course in the lunchtime when they get to grade 11 and 12 and create the food that the rest of the student body eats. So I actually had it for lunch and just now for dinner. So I love that program very much. We have leadership courses at our school. So if you do, there's the option to take it in grade 11. And if you do that, you can actually take it in grade 12. And it's a university level course. It's good for university level applications. And they basically kind of run the social side of the school. So they run our events, our social media, they plan fundraisers and all that kind of stuff. And they earn credit and they do it all year long. But the best thing about our school, in my opinion, is our international population. It is the biggest in the board. And that includes like a wide variety of students. They're here for a wide variety of reasons from every place you can imagine. We have some students from across the world that actually pay a tuition to come and study with us. We have some from Italy and Spain right now and from China and Japan. They pay a tuition, they come down, and some stay for a semester for kind of a Canadian experience, and some stay for years and they graduate here because they want a Canadian education and they want to be able to go to a Canadian university. But we also have our landed immigrants and our newcomers and our refugees. Like there's just so much variety of people and experience in our building, and it really enriches our school quite a bit. I have learned an incredible amount being in my position and getting to work with so many different people that I would not have the opportunity to do anywhere else in Kingston, I firmly believe. We also offer a specialist high skills major. So I won't go into too much detail, but it's like having a diploma with a nice big red seal right on it. And it says that you've specialized in a certain area of the skilled trades. So at our school, we offer, arts and culture, manufacturing, hospitality, construction, and health and wellness. So you take, it's when you get to your senior years in grade 11 and 12, and you kind of take a certain amount of courses in those areas, you specialize. And then by being a part of the program, you get the opportunity to do lots of kind of reach ahead, kind of life experiences, and take a bunch of certifications like your first aid and your CPR and WMIS and tons of other things, and there's no cost. So it's a pretty cool opportunity. Of course, we offer co-op as well. We have a large co-op program where students get credits while on the job. That again tends to be a senior program for grades 11s and 12s. And we have what used to be called focus programs. They're now called SHSM sector programs. So it's kind of it's a group of students from all over the school board that apply. And if they get accepted, they come and study with us for a certain amount of time in a certain area. So for example, we have creative arts, which Miss McEwen teaches at the back of our school. She's got a beautiful art studio. It's a senior program for grade 11s and 12s. And it's a portfolio building program for students who are thinking about pursuing the arts as a career or in post-secondary. So they stay there for an entire semester, minus one period, and they create these portfolios in all different types of mediums. We have our Studio LC program that's also a semester long, and it's a film production program. So they're in the hallways every day making movies. I'll show you where one of their movies is right now if you wanted to take a look. We have our culinary arts program where students stay in the kitchen for most of the day and learn how to cook. And then we have our hair program at the back. It is a 2-year program. It's a very special program where students graduate being qualified hairdressers. Again, this is for your senior years, but just so you know kind of what some of the opportunities are at our school, there's a lot. Our success team, this is where things change a little bit for you when you come from grade 8. So you have a lot of support upstairs and beyond. You've got a social worker, I believe, and you've got some care workers that are there. We are a bit bigger. We have more students and we have kind of more full-time success people in our building. So I'll just kind of take you briefly through who we are in the school in case you see us or want to talk to us. There's myself, Karina Dupuy. I'm the head of guidance. I'm mainly a guidance counselor for grades 11s and 12s. That would be kind of what I would put on a business card. But my role is mostly to, when the students come to me in grade 11, my main focus is where does that student want to be when they're done and how do I help them get there? Or how do I help them find all the opportunities that are there for them? So that's my main role. But in any given day, my office is filled with students who just want to talk about how school's going. They want to talk about what courses they should take, what they should focus on, or sometimes they just need a space to talk. And my door is always open for that as well. And then beside me in that frame is Miss Reed Gray. So she's our grade 9-10 guidance counselor. She's working virtually right now. And she's also kind of our AP coordinator. So she puts together and arranges all the testing that takes place for the advanced placement students. Beside her, we've got Mr. Meyer, who is our learning program support teacher. So if you come to us with an individualized education plan or you get one created while you're with us, he's the one who makes sure that kind of all is being taken care of for you. So he helps you with your assistive tech. He helps you make sure you're getting the supports you're needing and all that kind of stuff. Beside there is Miss Moore. She's here in the meeting today. She is our lead success teacher. So she's the one that students love to hate. So she's the one who makes sure you get your credits. So if you're struggling, you'll see her. So sometimes when you first see her, you're not thrilled, but then when she's helped you get your credits and pass your courses, then you know why she's there. So she's there to make sure that you're successful. She's there to make sure you earn the credits you're in if you start struggling. She's there to help you maybe redeem some of those credits if you're not successful and to help you in those plans. And she organizes the infamous literacy test for us as well. Then you have Bobby Jo Scott, who's our clerk. So she's our face of student services. At any time you come into student services, she's going to be there and she will help you. And then at the bottom there is Janice Cole. So right now she is our adolescent care worker, but she is only such until next week when she retires. But they have hired her replacement, who's also wonderful. And this is a new role for you. So in grade 7s and 8, you can see somebody. but you typically have to get parental permission to do so. If you're just struggling, maybe emotionally for some reason or another, when you come to high school, you don't need parental permission anymore to go see somebody. So if you're struggling just on the day to day, something's bringing you down, it can be as small as, friend drama or bigger things than that. And you just need someone to talk to. Our adolescent care worker is the person to do that with. We also have a social worker with us twice a week. Right now it's Tiff Items. She's fantastic. She's available through self-referral or through us referring. And she's there for more kind of the long-term troubles that students can have, like anxiety and depression and feeling low for a long time. That being said, we just have a big support team, and there's always somebody there that will help you. So get to know our faces and stop us anytime if you want to talk, because we're always open to that. Okay, the fun stuff. It has been a weird couple of years where the fun stuff has been hit and miss. Luckily, there always seems to still be something going on at LCVI. It's been up and down with things like athletics. As you know, it's been the same at every school. Things are slowly starting to open up again. So hopefully we'll go back into having some of our sports. Miss Morg is our athletic director, so she's the one who can answer questions about that. But we have your typical fall and winter sports. Usually in a regular year, our music teacher, Mr. McCann, puts on a musical, and it's phenomenal. And it's been a couple of years since we've been allowed to do that, since we can't congregate or have our band program running, but hopefully that comes back. There are still things like the book club. You go into the library right now at LC and there are staff pictures everywhere with what they're reading. There are ways to join book clubs with staff and students. There's always something happening in that school. Then typically we would have mathletes on a regular year. We would have our jazz band as well. DECA, we have action clubs. We have a lot of social justice initiatives. We have our improv team, which has won lots of awards. Another thing that's suffered through COVID, but here's hoping that things are a little bit more normal next year. And we have opportunities for environmental clubs and HOSA and whatnot. But that's not kind of the limit. There's many things going on that I don't even know about, and many things that students want to do on their own. We have students this year who started a BIPOC kind of like chill and chat group where people of color can go and talk about anything and chat and feel heard and talk about their experiences. So we have some students running that recently. And also I had a student approach me just today wanting to talk about starting something about recycling in the school, feeling there was too much waste of paper. How can we start a group for improving our paper usage? So there's lots of things you can do to get involved at the school. All right, switching gears a little bit. Things will change for your students next year, or for you guys in grade 8. Your day is going to look different. This is what it's supposed to look like. If this is what it looks like in September is left to be seen because it's not what it looks like right now due to COVID. But in a typical year, you are in this type of semester 1 and semester 2 system. So there's the opportunity to take 8 courses traditionally in a day. You would take 2 before lunch and then 2 after lunch. And then in February, you would switch to 4 different courses. So that's how a normal year would go. Typical course load for grade 9s is 8 classes. You can in some ways take more. There is our band class, which is open to students with musical experience, which runs at lunch every second day. And then when you get older into grade 11, you can actually take our cooking, our CAF class, or our leadership courses, which also run at lunch. So there are actually ways to earn more than 8 credits in a year, but it's not necessary. So that's kind of what your typical schedule would look like. And every class is going to have different students in it. You don't travel around as a group. The only time that does happen is in our AP prep program. Students do have 4 or 5 classes together, and then the rest with kind of the general population. And our academic arts, they have 3 classes together. But typically you have a different group in every section. What do you need to graduate? So the most traditional piece of paper that students come to high school wanting to get is their Ontario Secondary School Diploma. And they all have the same requirements. There are 18 compulsory credits, so 18 mandatory credits that students need to get. There are some exceptions to a couple, which I'll mention, but typically English is every year, math is 3 years, science is 2 years, and then in grade 9 you take a geography, in grade 10 you take a history. You're supposed to get 1 art credit, 1 phys ed credit, 1 French credit, your civics and careers, which are each worth half a credit, And then there's one for group 1, 2, and 3, which is like, there's a variety of categories in that we can talk about another time, but that includes co-op or an extra language course or an extra tech course or an extra social studies course, something like that. They're easy to meet. Some exceptions are, for example, with the French, we do not offer an applied level French course. If you are thinking that you might end up in the applied stream in grade 10, or if French is something that you might struggle with because of a learning difficulty, you can actually substitute that for a learning strategies course that I'll show you. And then, of course, if phys ed, you have like a physical difficulty where phys ed just isn't an option for you, that's certainly something that we can talk about. Not a problem. So don't get too hung up on those. The English, math, science, geography, history, those are pretty standard and will be met by everybody. After those 18 compulsories, there's 12 electives. So nearly half of your high school career is doing courses that you want to take or courses that are going to get you to where you want to go after high school. You need typically 40 hours of community service. For the past couple of years, that's gone up and down. No, it hasn't gone up. It's gone down. It's ranged from 0 to now 20, simply because it's been tougher for students to get those. And I'm not sure if you know this, but you probably do, that you can start accumulating those right when you finish this year of school. So you're done grade 8 and you have somewhere you can volunteer. Feel free to start logging hours. You can even pick up a community hours form from us, or I have one on the website you can download, and you can start collecting those. You just don't want to leave it till May of grade 12 for many reasons. It gets tough. You're busy doing your schoolwork, and also kind of takes the meaning out of it a little bit. If you're someone who's hoping to apply for bursaries and scholarships when you're done, so some money for school, you're going to want to have some experiences with meaning. So it's a good time to start looking. We have students all over the place doing all kinds of stuff. COVID makes it difficult, but not impossible. We have students who are cleaning chairs at vaccine clinics. We have students who volunteer to help out neighbors when it comes to snow removal. So students who are volunteering to tutor, there are lots of ways that you can earn those hours. And then you need the literacy test, which is typically written in grade 10. And a few things can happen. You can just pass it, check that box, you're done with it. If you're unsuccessful, you can try again a second time. Or you can actually take the literacy course. You get a full credit for it. So it just adds up to one of your 30 credits. And that also checks that box off for literacy. But that's not till grade 10, so don't worry about that too much. The ministry has also mandated that students now, before they graduate high school, take 2 credits online. There are some good reasons for this, especially due to COVID. A lot of post-secondary schools, colleges, and career programs and universities are opting to do a lot of first year and up courses online. It's less expensive for them. So having a bit of a trial as to what an online course looks like is not a bad idea. That being said, again, if you have an IEP and that learning style just wouldn't work for you, we can accept that, it's fine. But that is something that the ministry is hoping all students accomplish before they graduate high school. All right. You don't need to memorize this. Anywhere that you're going to see one of these course codes, you should also see the name of the course. But I thought, so they don't kind of confuse you, I just briefly show you what they mean. Because again, it all changes from when you're in elementary. So they're all 6-digit codes. The last one, you don't really have to worry about. The first 5, I'll explain briefly. So these 3 here just have to do with what department that course is in. So in this case, it's M, it's in math. If it's F, it's in French. If it's T, it's in tech. If it's E, it's in English. So it just lets you know what kind of department it is. What's most important are these 4th and 5th digits to you. This 4th digit is the grade. So when you're picking your courses for next year, you're going to be looking at pretty much picking all courses with a number 1. There are a couple of exceptions that I'll show you, but for the most part, you're going to be choosing those grade 9 classes. This 5th code is ever changing these days. So it is the type of course. So this is our W code. This is new to us as of this year, and that's our D-streamed course code. So next year, it'll be our math and science. We'll have a W, and everyone takes the same one. So it's easy to pick. When you get to grade 10 and above, they change. So they would be P means applied, and D means academic, L means locally developed, O means open to everybody, which you're going to see on pretty much all your elective courses. So that's not too much of a concern for you yet this year because of the ministry mandate. So I will take you through that a little bit. That last digit doesn't really apply. It's kind of the school's way of categorizing courses, so it's different at every school. So for you folks, it's interesting because now you don't really have to make too many decisions right now. Your decisions have been pushed back at least a year. So the idea being that all students will have the same opportunities when they get to grade 10, that they're not limiting themselves before they even walk through our doors, that you can then take an educated you make an educated decision as to what type of course you should be taking. So everyone's going to start basically in the same courses. And then in grade 10, you're going to start choosing what type of courses you want, or maybe even grade 11. I don't know if this is going to be pushed to grade 10 or not, but there are many things that we're going to help you with on your way to making those decisions. You're going to talk to your teachers. You're going to start thinking about, well, what do I want? What options do I want available to me after high school? If that's university, you're going to make sure you take academic courses. If you're looking at, college or going straight to work, you're going to look at college level courses or workplace level courses. But some of these decisions have been removed for grade 9. But there's lots of people to talk to. One thing I will mention is if you or your child is thinking about locally developed planning, which is typically for students who have some learning difficulties, just reach out to us, reach out to your teacher. There will still be some locally developed options. They aren't in my blueprint just for sake of clarity, but we will certainly communicate with the teachers and we'll make that programming available. Just reach out, let us know, and we can see what's available. You can always come talk to us, especially when you're in grade 9. You'll come down, make appointments with us, and we'll help you choose. Talk to your teachers, talk to your parents. In the end, it's your decision. So we're going to move into probably the topic that's interesting a lot of you right now, and that's de-streamed grade 9. So the basics are this. The ministry has mandated the following. So this year we had a de-streamed math, meaning everyone took this new math curriculum, and we'll have Ms. Hamilton talk in just a minute. Next year, that is now a math and a science. So those are both de-streamed courses. The other thing they've changed is for the grade 9 geography and English, there are no longer applied level options. They are all academic. The reasoning being that they want students to go into grade 10 with all options open. So being able to maybe have more time to figure out their strengths, their areas of need. Maybe too many students would pick applied right off the bat, kind of limiting some of their post-secondary options, later realizing they could have possibly done academic, and it's a lot harder to kind of backtrack and meet those requirements. So those are the big changes for next year, and it is a lot. It's a huge change. So I've invited Ms. Hamilton here just to talk about how her class went this year, and how, like, kind of what she did. We were very fortunate because I will embarrass her by saying I was at the board and she did come up as an example of kind of how to do this. And I will say at the beginning, she was nervous. She was very nervous. She was apprehensive about the whole thing. And as you talked to her about it through the year, her mood kind of started adjusting. And she goes, well, you know what? This was kind of cool. So she did a lot of learning and a lot of growth there. So I'm going to turn it over to her for a few minutes.
Hello. As Ms. Dupuis said, I am the department head of math and science. My name is Brianne Hamilton, and I actually worked on the curriculum writing teams in the summer to prepare the school board for the de-streamed math. As Ms. Dupuis said, that was the only course that ran de-streamed this year is math, and I ended up teaching 2 sections of it in the fall, and so I have some experience, albeit limited, with this course, and so I wanted to just share with you a little bit about how it went and what your students can expect in taking the de-streamed math course, and probably de-streamed courses in general. When I first started looking at the de-streamed course and talking to parents and teachers and students, the apprehension kind of came from 2 camps. One, that students who had some gaps in their learning may be left behind due to the change in the course from the applied to the de-streamed, and that also some students may miss out on enrichment opportunities because of the change to the de-streamed course. My experience actually suggests that these apprehensions are addressed by both the curriculum itself and the method of teaching that we use at LCVI. In my experience, the curriculum is comprehensive, it's extensive, and it actually makes significant attempts to make math education more equitable for both racialized students and for students from a variety of socioeconomic backgrounds. It's clear that the goal of the curriculum is to prepare all students for any future math course. And looking at the curriculum, I can see all the components coming together to allow for a choice of college pathway or university pathway going forward. The curriculum also addresses skills that students would need to be successful in the ever-changing work world. Coding, problem solving, and collaboration are really cornerstones of the curriculum, and so it's clear that it's going to make it a good course for students kind of preparing themselves for the future. I think the curriculum's been well planned. It's very intentional in how it's set up, and it allows for students, regardless of their previous knowledge and background, to access the content. Students with gaps seem to have the time to fill those gaps, and students with a strong math background seem to have the space for extension and enrichment. The curriculum really values the lived experiences of students. It makes way for bringing in their previous knowledge, their cultures, their backgrounds. And I think it allows students to really kind of bring math into their everyday lives. I think students enjoyed the course. They seem to find the content interesting, relevant, and relatable. And I think student experience and student confidence kind of increased over time. We cycle through expectations at LC, so we don't just teach a unit of algebra, then a unit of geometry, and then a unit of trigonometry. We go through kind of the whole course at a basic level and then layer expectations as we go. This allows students to kind of improve over time. They're less stressed about their day-to-day performance. They are able to view the course as more of a marathon and less of a sprint. I think that it lended itself well to creating math confidence. As far as what students can expect, I think that students have agency in their learning. They're able to tailor their experiences to what they know, experience math in a way that allows them to start where they're at and progress. There is a culture of high expectations for everyone. The curriculum is not easy. It's definitely, it's got some substance to it. And I think that by setting that high expectation and setting the bar high, students are really able to meet those expectations because we scaffold it for them and we give them room to grow. Students should expect to be part of a thinking classroom. There is collaborative problem solving going on every day. The teacher kind of acts as a coach or a facilitator. It's not a lot of lecture. It's a lot of students working together and creating meaning. The classes will be a mix of large group instruction, small group instruction, and then problem solving on their own, as well as purposeful practice. I'm not a teacher that thinks that students should never practice their math, and I don't think the curriculum suggests that either. It's not a problem solve and never kind of practice your math facts. There is time for that. Teachers value the way that students learn, and we value multiple ways of doing things. We look at the history of math and how our accepted ideas of how math works can be challenged and maybe changed. We consistently build upon that knowledge, and so students are able to work through expectations multiple times and able to kind of show growth. Students will feel like they are constantly getting better at math, and I do think that students will actually learn to really love it even if they didn't before. I got many emails from parents and students saying, I've never loved math before, I love math now. Math is my favorite class in the day. I never thought I would say that. So it has been really good. I was apprehensive, as Ms. Dupuy said. I did not know how it would go, and I've been pleasantly surprised to say that I think it's just fine. I think it's going to work out well. So that's all I have to say about that.
So I really appreciate you coming. I'm wondering if at this point, if there are any questions just before we start moving into kind of what to pick for your courses for next year and stuff like that. So you have the option, you can raise your hand by pushing that little happy face with the hand up. Just remember you have to take it down after you're done, or you can type something in the chat. Just wondering if there's any questions about what D-Streamed is going to be for next year. There's still a lot of unknowns. I'm not sure they have this science curriculum at this point. So there are a lot of unknowns, but does anyone have any questions at this point?
Yeah.
You've got someone has their microphone on. I think it's Fatuma. If you could just click your microphone off at the top, that would be fantastic. Thank you. Okay, well, if you don't have questions about that, I'm going to move forward. I'm just going to double check in the chat here. Do kids need to be aware of prerequisites when choosing classes? Not for grade 9 necessarily, but I will show you what that looks like in the course selection program now. I'll take you through it for a few minutes. But no, not yet. I would say they've made grade 9 pretty straightforward. I will talk to you about the learning strategies class in just one moment. The literacy strategies, excuse me. All right, so I'm just going to go back here just for a minute. All right, so just a couple other things. I'm going to kind of fly through this. Don't memorize it because I'm actually just going to take you right into the program and show you how it works to pick your courses. It is pretty straightforward now for grade 9s, but you're all going to access it through My Blueprint. If you go to Calvin, your teachers know how to access it, but you can all access it through Minds Online. It's one of the circles at the top, and that'll log you right in if you're afraid of not knowing your login or whatnot. And you're going to go, you should have the option for a high school on the left, and you're going to go into your dashboard and you're going to start your plan for grade 9. One thing I will say is because we have a unique situation where we've got our grade 8s upstairs, they're not all coming to us. Some of them came for Challenge and Leap, and their homeschool might be somewhere else. A lot of you have applied to special programs at KSS or here at LCVI, so you're not 100% sure where you're actually going next year. So I'll talk you through that in just a second. So the students who have applied to our enrichment programming, I'm going to say just go ahead and put in your regular course selections. You can't select the enrichment codes anyways. That's something that I'll do on my end that way. And then once we find out you've been accepted, we can just go ahead and push those in. If you have a school that's not the right school, you've got to let me know. It will say at the top what school you're supposed to go to. That was all submitted based on what your catchment area is, where you live. So if you live in our area, your school will be LCVI. If you are planning on attending the KSS IB program, that's your plan. You think you're getting accepted, still fill out our course selections. For the most part, they'll be really similar with only a few differences. Frontenac is a little bit different because they do have all their French options as well. So those won't show up on our course selections, but that should get sorted within the month as that all gets cleared up about who's going where. So I will take you through kind of what that looks like. So I'll just skip this for now. And I'll show you how to submit your courses. You've got a good month to do it. So lots of time. And as I said, we'll get up to the grade 8 classes upstairs to kind of take you through this process a little more slowly. If you're from out of area and you're hoping to come to LCVI, it does say here to contact student services or an administrator. I will say your best bet is probably to reach out to Mr. James. You can certainly reach out to myself as well. The process is that you are put on a wait list if you are from out of our catchment area and not coming into one of our special programs. The nice thing is those wait lists, because of the structure, they used to only be dealt with in September. So there was a lot of waiting. That's been pushed up significantly more to April, May. So students will know before the end of the year, for the most part, if they get in off of a wait list. I just see a question there. If our kids have already been accepted to a program like AAEP, do we know what they need to sign up for? If you've already been accepted to a special program, within the week, I'll be sending them a separate course selection form that'll just be for their electives. So it's even simpler. So you can kind of just wait on that if you've been accepted to a special program. So course selections will be due in about a month. The grades will have a little bit more time because we're going to wait till everything settles for all your choices at 9 options and where you're living and all that, what school you're going to be going to. But at any time you can come for help. So you can call us at the school. For me, the best option is definitely through email. I answer them fairly quickly. I'll show you where to find my email address. And I'll also show you our website where you can make virtual appointments with us or in person once they get to us. But don't hesitate to reach out and ask us questions. I'm just going to leave this screen here for a second and just show you a few things before I move on. There's a lot of places to access information. Under my name, I actually have a YouTube channel where I post every presentation that we've done like this. So you can go in and you can find out about the course selection process, which I did an evening video for our grade 9s through 12. You can learn about our Choices at 9 program, even though those applications are closed at this point, but feel free. You can learn about our advanced placement in grade 11 and 12. So there's all kinds of videos on there. Also, we have the regular school website, like every school does, the lcvi.limestone.on.ca. I've created another one as well, just because there seems to be more information than I could fit on there. And that is lcvistudentservices.com. And here's where you can book an appointment with any of us here. So myself or Miss Reed Gray or Janice actually as well, but you wouldn't be accessing her just yet. But that's where you can make appointments with us. Everything on this main page kind of is big events that are coming up, main information. There is a page on here that I'm just starting for future students. So in this, you can actually find out which catchment area you're in. If you're not sure, you can just click the link and it'll take you right to Tri-Board Transportation to find out what school's area you're in. And then it also has information. We've got a virtual tour here of our school that our students put together for us last year if they want to get a sense of kind of what the school looks like. And then there's also some brief instructions here on how to do the course selection process. So as a parent, you can actually create a parent account to kind of keep an eye on what's going on there. So there are ways to see it. I'm just going to hit the chat just for a couple of seconds. So good question. So is there a certain capacity for a course? I mean, yes, there's always a capacity for a course. Absolutely. And it depends what area the course is in. It's smaller in a tech course, for example, like in the carpentry wing and whatnot, and it's larger in an enriched English class, for example. I mean, typically our grade 9s do tend to get what they want. What ends up being more the case is if a student has chosen drama and construction as their electives, and they're running at the same time, so they can't choose one of those. So they would have to go by one of their alternate choices or just make an appointment to kind of fill that out. But we'll make sure students get in their full 8 courses, obviously. For Maya, if you haven't heard back from AAEP, you should have by now. So you should send me an email. The offers are sent out in some waves. So the first wave has gone out. Another wave will go out on Monday of next week. But send me a quick email with your child's name. We don't, so Kellyanne Sigward, we don't know about choir. My hope is that all those courses are back, but at this point I know they're still not allowing singing classes. So I don't know what the option is for next year yet. We are offering the courses, so hoping that comes back. Other things that you can find out in here, it's just like calendars of events that are coming up. You can find kind of general information about community hours and whatnot on here. All our information about our specialty programs, expanded opportunities to some kind of hands-on opportunities, more information about SHSM. If you're a student who wants to start getting your community hours, you can go right here and download the form. My email is at the bottom of every single page of this website. So my email is dupuy@limestone.on.ca, and it's on the bottom right here. I'll just copy it and put it in the chat. Oh, there, it's already in there for you. Thank you. And then the other thing quickly to show you before I go into your course selections is all your students have access to this. So it is their Minds Online. They should all know how to get there because they've all been at home learning at some point. And right here is their My Blueprint link. And because they're already signed into Minds Online, it automatically signs them into My Blueprint. So what they're going to see is this. They're going to go into their high school and they will see a name of a high school. Excuse that grade 11 there, but this is a fake account. So that might not be the school you're intending to go to at this point. Even if you've been accepted into one of our programs, it will take a while before your student gets transferred over. The course selection process is much easier than it's ever been. So it kind of gives you a hint as to what courses should be in those spots, but it doesn't mean that they are in those spots. So you have to click it. But because there are kind of limited paths for grade 9 and they're all sticking together, the options are just one in this case. Again, as I mentioned, we can certainly have conversations if your students that wants to take locally developed courses, that's not a problem. But in most cases, students will just choose this grade 9 academic English. So for the math, it's the same thing. It's that one D-streamed math course. So they're just going to add that. Science is the same thing now. It's a D-stream science. So this used to have more options, but everyone's taking the same. Geography is all academic as well. So for the most part, students should be taking their grade 9 French, and grade 9 French is an academic level course, and it's right here. And it's the only mandatory French class. Students can continue for sure to take French throughout their high school, but if they want to, they can just take the grade 9. If the student is somebody who perhaps has learning difficulties or trouble with learning second language or something of that nature, they can choose this literacy skills reading and writing, and it says right here for grade 9s not taking French. So you could choose that as your option. That's kind of, you'll notice it's a grade 10 course. That's just the name of it, but that's still the appropriate one. Health and phys ed, same thing. If you're somebody who for some reason their student is not going to be taking phys ed, you can just put another course in there. So what you would do is you would just change this so that you're at all the disciplines and you can just slip another course in there, and you can leave me a note as to why. I'll show you where to do that. So for grade 9, we tend to offer a co-ed, a boys and a girls team sports gym. They don't always run like that. Again, it depends on numbers. So if not enough students choose girls only gym, we can't have a girls only gym. But typically we get to run all those for grade 9. So let's say we're going for co-ed gym, put that in. Those are your mandatory courses. So now you're going to see they're just called course. So every student in grade 9 should be signing up for 8 courses on this top section. This is where it gets a little bit more daunting, but it's also more fun. So when you select the course here, I like to keep it on grade 9. It narrows down the options so it's not so overwhelming. You can open it up to other grades if you're curious at looking, but I'd recommend keeping it there. There's lots of areas at LC for elective courses. So there's an art section here, and we've got lots of options in art. We have our drama, we have repertoire, which again is for students with musical experience. But if they don't have musical experience and want a beginner gym, there's the music class, grade 9, open music. Hopefully we'll have our choir back again as well. And our visual arts in grade 9 is always the Aboriginal cultures, visual arts. So those are all arts options for grade 9 students. Grade 9s also have the option of taking a business class, kind of an information and comm tech class for next year. There are no second options there. So then you'd be looking down, the phys ed is, as I mentioned, the co-eds. Then you'd be looking at our tech courses as other options as well for grade 9. So we've got construction, culinary arts, so our cooking class, comm tech, which is like a graphic design, and exploring technologies, which is kind of a taste of the trades. It's a little bit of this and that to kind of get a feel for what trade might interest you. So those are the kind of main options that are open to grade 9 students. So for the sake of interest, I'm going to say this student is interested in taking construction. They're going to fill out they're going to take a grade 9 business. If I went to review and submit right now, it's going to say you haven't added the required amount of alternate courses, which is 2. So you're going to go back and you're going to go down here under alternates, and you're going to pick 2 backups. And that's for the reason I said below. Well, a couple of reasons. If you chose choir or repertoire, and once again, we're told we can't offer those, we want to be able to get you into your next top choice. The other reason being, if 2 of your choices are running simultaneously, we want to be able to get you what you want, not what's left over kind of once it's all been built. So I highly recommend you think about it and you pick kind of your next choices. So I'm just going to pick another 2 in here. So here I've got a total of 8 courses in my plan. I've got 2 backups. That's perfect. There are lots of things that you can do in this program now that you're in it for a high school planner. The only courses that I'm going to get at my end are these ones here for your next year. These grade 9 courses will come through to me. Once you've submitted, you can't change them. But if you do want to make a change, you just reach out to me and I can change them. But if you're someone who wants to see kind of what courses you need to take to get into what programs, this is a really cool tool. It can take a minute, but if you want to go through and put in a plan for up through and including grade 12, go ahead, do it. None of these are going to come my way. You can change them next year when you want to submit your courses. But what happens is if you fill this out with kind of what you would like to think you'd like to take over the next 4 years, you can then go down here and refresh your eligibility, and all these potential university and college and workplace programs will pop up. And this program allows you to sift through programs all over Ontario and in Canada favorite the ones you want. It banks them for you and saves them there. You can compare things like I've drawn up civil engineering, computer engineering, and chemical engineering, and it puts them side by side, talks about what schools you can go to, what courses you need, and it'll directly relate to this. So if you have the right courses, it'll have a green check. So if you pick all the right stuff and you go to chemical engineering, you can then see a green check mark, and that's about you. And it means, hey, if you do this plan, you can go into that program. It also shows you can make a few little changes. You can go, okay, I'm not a big fan of chemistry. What happens if I don't take chemistry ever? I'm really not interested. I only want to take physics, no bio either. So you can put that in, check your university options, but then go back and change it. Put them in, see what changes. All of a sudden your options might really increase, or a really cool program will come up. And the other thing this program does is you can keep track of your progress to graduate. So you can go right in here. These are all the grad requirements, and it's going to link right to you. Are you taking what you need to take to graduate? Grade 9, you will be. So don't worry about that. But it's a nice way to kind of keep track. It also helps you figure out what are those group 1, group 2, and group 3 courses. They're kind of explained here for you. So there's a lot of great tools in here. If you have no idea what you're interested in, there's also these learning style quizzes, these personality quizzes that then directly link to jobs, directly link to post-secondary institutions that are real. It has the cost, it has how many students they let in. And then you just put that little heart and it saves it forever. You can build your resume in here, which I use it for mine because anytime I get a new certification, I can literally say add certification and it rebuilds it for me, and it's beautiful. And you can just keep track of it that way. It lets you build budgets. It helps with financial literacy in this program as well. So it's a program I really like. In grade 10, I will come into most, if not all, the careers classes and really take students through the program to show them what they can do. But there are a lot of cool options, and I highly recommend you kind of play around in there. There's also scholarships through here too that you can win. There's a lot actually this year. So for now, you're looking at high school. You're checking to see what school it says you're supposed to be going to. Is that totally wrong? Like, why is that school there? You need to reach out to your principal and find out why that's that school. It, again, could just be that you haven't been accepted into a certain program yet or anything like that. But it is a really valuable tool. And then there are instruction sheets all over the place, all over the website. We have colored copies down in student services if you kind of like that paper. If you really like to read what a course is about, on the website, again, under course selections, the old school kind of course calendar has been uploaded right at the bottom here. So this is your old school calendar that we don't print anymore because students don't seem to want it anymore, but all the courses are there, all the graduation requirements, and it will give you little descriptions. It'll tell you what you need to take each course. So if you want to make sure you're eligible for physics, what do you need? So you can actually go through, just trying to get down to a course here just to show you. So here's all our art programming. It'll tell you what courses you have to take in order to get in there. So it has a lot of information in there. So I know I have just kind of spewed tons of information your way. So I'm wondering, at this point, I've kind of said all I need to say. There's a lot, I know that, but I will help your students. If your student is up at LC, I think I mentioned this at the beginning, they're planning to go to Frontenac because they want to go to French immersion, I don't know, for whatever reason, but they're currently here in our building at Calvin. I consider them one of us. I will help them with their course selections. I will help them pick at like what they need, even if it's at Frontenac. I have kids all over the place of my own. I've got 3 students and one of them goes to Frontenac. So I did his course selections. If you're in our building, I will help you. So don't hesitate to reach out and ask me questions or ask me just to take you through this process because I know it's confusing. So I know there was a lot of questions in the chat. I'm just going to ask Ms. Moore, is there anything that I need to talk about in there or?
There's one question about, is there a date cutoff for finding out about AAEP placements, future spots?
I wish there was a clear cutoff, but it is kind of an ongoing process. I would say most students will know by the end of the first week of February. Again, there are sometimes changes. So let's say a student moves away and all of a sudden there's a spot, we might go back down on the list, but most students will know by the beginning of February, I would say, if they're in the program.
Perfect. I think I answered every other question, but other people might want to raise their hands.
Sure. So again, up at that top of your screen, there's that little happy face with a hand like this. If you want to just ask me anything now, feel free. At this point, I'll kind of say goodnight. I won't leave. I'm going to stay on for questions. I just really need to thank all my admin for coming and listening to me ramble. They have to hear me all day anyways. And of course, Miss Moore and Miss Hamilton for helping me out because you're invaluable to me. So I really, really appreciate all your help and being here. But I'm happy to stay on and answer any of your questions that you might have at this point. But otherwise, I will say adieu and feel free to leave the meeting if you want or stay. Whatever works. Good night.
Ms. Dupuy, can I just interject for one quick second? Yeah. We did build a Microsoft form for out of area students who are interested in being on the wait list.
Great.
And I put that link in the chat for any of our out of area families that would like to go directly to that, just to save a bit of a phone call, and then we'll follow up if we need more information.
Amazing. I'll put that on the website tomorrow under our future students section. I see a hand up here, so let me just see. It's hard for me to tell who has their hand up. So I think it's Reza. Sorry if I pronounce your name wrong, just tell me.
Yes. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, how are you? Thank you very much for your very nice presentation and the useful information you provided to the parents of the future students. I understood that there are lots of options and lots of links on your website which could definitely help us. One of the most useful piece of information you just provided was the the possibility of choosing those voluntary courses depend according to the prospective interest of the student. Let me be more explicit. I mean, if my kid would want to be a medicine, a doctor in the future, hopefully, is there any, based on what you just mentioned, there should be any clear-cut, pathway or course recommendations on how to, to choose, efficiently in order to, to get there, hopefully get there. Could you please confirm this? I didn't get that, completely. I just want to make sure if that will be, very easy, to check it personally, because that's quite important for me or maybe any other, parent. Thank you very much.
For sure. Yeah. One thing I will say is for going into your university program, you don't really have any choices to make for grade 9 yet. So far, those choices now are in grade 10 and 11, where I will help students make those choices, because in grade 9, you're going to take the same 5 courses. Everyone takes those 5, and then it's elective courses. So it's not the courses that you're going to need for medicine. It's electives. It's your arts and your technologies and your business. It's once you get into grade 10, if you were planning on medicine, a student would make sure they're taking all their academic courses. But it's really once a student gets to grade 11 where they're going to need to start making those conscious decisions for those types of programs. So in grade 11, for someone who's interested in medicine, every year they would take their university level English, they would then take their university level math, and they would take their biology and their chemistry at least, physics being a bit of an optional depending on what type of medicine. Those would be all the courses necessary for then in grade 12 for a student to take their English again, their advanced functions and calculus, and then their biology and chemistry. So for students going into grade 9, they don't really have to make that decision about having prerequisites yet. That'll be in grade 10 and 11 for the most part. This year, they can just pick courses they want to take. They're not going to be related to medicine at this stage yet.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're very welcome. John. Put your hand down, I believe. Or John, is your hand up? You can just I'll go ahead and shoot a question out. Just see. I'm not sure if, John, if you have a question, you can feel free to turn your mic on and ask it, or you can type it in the chat, whatever works for you. One thing I would say, if you have a student who already has like a pretty specific interest, like one of my kids, it doesn't hurt to let me know. I keep my little spreadsheet, and my spreadsheet has every student in the school's name on it. And when I am having casual conversations with them, when I'm having official meetings with them or their parents, I take little notes. And those notes might be that, for example, okay, someone wants to go into medicine. So I would put doctor, I might put nurse or something specific like that. What that does for me is, even if in 2 years, I all of a sudden get an opportunity to kind of, bring students to Queens for their health sciences department, which has happened to me before, where I have 1 week to gather a group of students. I can just type in medicine on my list, and it'll show me every kid that's ever mentioned that to me. If I have no idea what your student or child is interested in, it becomes harder for me to reach out to them specifically. I do keep communication pretty constant on the website for sure. But again, it's always good to let me know if there's something that you're keen on. It just makes it easier for me to kind of find stuff for you. Is there anybody else there that's got questions for me?
John was asking about the 3 reserve courses for academic arts and the courses for AP Prep, and I just wrote them in the chat.
Right. Yeah, so basically in AA, those courses, we don't put them in the course selection because students just choose them by accident constantly. So essentially, if you don't know if you're in yet, just go ahead and pick your courses. Once you get accepted, you'll be sent a course selection form that's really easy, where you just kind of pick your electives that you want to take, and I'll just slot them in for you. So with academic arts, they take their geography and integrated arts class and their English as part of group. And then in grade 10, it's their history and English. And as AP Prep, they take their English, math, science, geography. And I feel like I'm forgetting one, but I'm not sure.
French.
French, yes. Anybody else got some questions? And I'm just going to stop this recording so I don't have to trim it so much. But again, I will kind of